Welcome back to episode 17 of the Racing Show. Just going to start off by recapping last weekend's action, some of the bets and some performances. Starting off with Cheltenham on Friday. Our first bet was Plessis de Flo in the first, came third, put up at 6-1, went off 9-2, was beaten by another horse seeking a 4 or 5 timer and double powerful. Winner was impressive. I'd keep the front three onside going forward for sure. Next was the 145, the Novices Chase over 3 miles, and we put up Highland for that one at 9-4, and he won well, going off at 2-1 joint favourite. He jumped really well, quite impressive. Nico is very comfy on him the whole way around. He's a good jumper. He probably wants decent ground, so he might be more of a spring horse. Possibly ground dependent, might be a chance for a 4-miler, but wouldn't be for me, although I think he probably could win a few more races this season. Next was the Schlur Chase. It's a grade 2 2-mile chase. John Bon went off the 1-3 favourite. Thought he was quite workmanlike, not very impressive to be quite honest. He's won a lot of races, but I feel like he comes unstuck at Cheltenham come festival time when he faces much better horses. Can't see him winning a champion chase. I think he might be the worst favourite for me of the festival currently. So wouldn't have him going forward. Then it was the cross country handicap chase. The French Raider, Sweet David, won that off quite a low weight. He could definitely be a contender come March. With the race now being a handicap, he would probably still sneak into it of quite a low weight when more kind of higher rated horses enter that one. So keep an eye out for him. He's one that could possibly go on all types of ground, being from France. Then it was the 3:30, the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. We had Potter's Charm in that one. I think it was the only race of the whole weekend that the market got wrong. He went off 7-4, second favourite. Valgrand was the well-bet 5-6 favourite. Stepping up from 2 miles to 2 mile 5, Valgrand didn't quite get home, set the pace early, but Potter's Charm just covered him the whole way around. Had him beat by the top of the hill pretty much, and was really impressive. Went away, jumped well. Looks like a really, really good horse with the Twiston Davises, to be honest. I'd have him right up there. Probably the best British novice hurdler, and I think if he goes and wins a Challow or something like that, he'd have every chance in a Turner's novice hurdle or an Albert Bartlett. So he's definitely one to take forward from Friday. The only other performance on Friday that I thought was worth a mention was the 2 o'clock at Punchestown. It was the first time we got to really see a Willie Mullins trained maiden hurdler, and this time it was a Ronci after a nearly year layoff, running in behind Firefox, I think it was. This time last year, he came out for his maiden hurdle here and was very, very impressive in the JP McManus colours. He's definitely one that could continue progressing this year and could be one for a Supreme if he was to continue his progression. But that's one we'll hold off for now. He is currently 25-1 for the Supreme. Moving on to Saturday, I'll start at Cheltenham where we had the JCB Triumph Trial. It was won by East India Doc, who was a very, very well-backed favourite, going off at 4-5. Connections won this with Burdett Road last year. This lad's a much better jumper. He'd definitely take his chance in a Triumph. It'd be tough to see much beating him from now until then. Obviously, a lot of horses will come out. Irish will more than likely have a better one than this. But he could definitely be unbeaten going into the festival. The trainer did say he's got a better one at home. I'm not quite sure If he does, if he's better than this lad, then he would he would definitely be the one to beat come the triumph. Next, we had the 145, the Arkle Novice Chase. That was a grade 2, but we put up Lerdisud there, and he won impressively for the Skeletons. He's going to be the best novice chaser from Britain this season. He's going to take his chance in an Arkle. Again, though, I think he might just find an Irish trained runner a bit too good in that race. But I do probably expect him to be, again, unbeaten going into that race. Moving on to the Paddy Power Gold Cup handicap, we had Garlaw. He came second. Gave it a good go. Might need a bit further nowadays. Il Rodotto won off a low weight for Freddie Gingle. It was a good ride. Yeah, not much to report. Not the greatest renewal of that race. Then two well-backed, impressive handicap winners in Doyen Quest and Hamsian. They went off 5-4 and 2-1 favourites. I think they could rack up quite the winning streaks, to be fair to them. I think they're both quite well handicapped and they were impressive. So maybe ones to keep on side. The other action on Saturday was definitely at Navan, where Gordon Elliott tends to absolutely dominate this meeting, and he had plenty of winners. I think the most impressive on Saturday would have been Bleu de Vassy. Went off 4-6, again another well-back favourite on Saturday going in. He looks like he could take quite top rank for Gordon Elliott this season, and I'd expect him to possibly be able to cope with a step up in trip. So maybe a Turner's Novice Hurdle, but again, you've got to see what Willie is bringing out before you start backing any of these to win come March. The Lismullen Hurdle was the next one at Navan, won by Home by the Lee, beating Bob Ollinger, who was the 11-8 favourite. Home by the Lee's good fresh, might not see him again now until the stayers. He's not better than T Hooper though, so I think we can just leave that there. Founder 51, a grade 2 mile chase. He's took to coming out of novice company quite well. Don't think he'll be good enough to win come March, since he only just beat Solness by a neck. So probably forgettable form. Just Gordon making it rain while he can. The next was another Gordon Elliott winner in Down Memory Lane in a beginner's chase. I thought this was quite a strong field. King of Kingsfield, Nürburgring and Birdie or Bust rounded out the top four. All of those have Cheltenham Festival form. Gordon did mention about the second King of Kingsfield maybe being a Grand Annual type down the line, so maybe that's one to just keep an eye on. He could definitely run well in a race like that. Regarding the winner, he was quite good. He was given quite an easy lead. We'll have to see what he does next time, but he could be one that steps up in trip for sure. Might leave him in a bit of a tough place. Would it come to March? Will he stay 3 miles? Not too sure. Is he quick enough for 2 miles? Probably not. And that was the most interesting action on Saturday. Moving on to Sunday at Cheltenham, the only race that's of real interest for me would be the Great Wood Hurdle. We put up Dysar Enos at 5-2. She was another well-back favourite. She couldn't quite go on and win the race. The first three are probably ridiculously well handicapped, to be honest. I think Dysar Enos still put in a decent enough performance, however, probably not good enough. Burdett Road massively improved his jumping from this time last year. Decent winner, but like I said, I think the front three are just ridiculously well handicapped. And then moving on to Navan on Sunday, we had a few short price favourites beaten in Qualimita, who would have been quite top ranked from Mares Novice Hurdle. We'll have to see if she can bounce back next time for Gordon Elliott, who also had the Yellow Clay win a grade 3 novice hurdle over 2 mile, 4.5 furlong. He was quite impressive. Be interesting to see whether they step him up to 3 miles. He was a bumper horse, of course, last year, so we'll see how that form is represented going forward this season. And then another performance that I thought was interesting definitely was Better Days Ahead, winning the beginner's chase against Slade Steele, who was sent off 1-2 favourite. Better Days Ahead representing that Martin Pipe form from the Cheltenham Festival, which I think is going to be ridiculously strong. I think Waterford Whispers is very well handicapped. I think K de Bourbon's going to be a brilliant chaser, staying chaser, and I think this lad will be a good 3 mile chaser as well. So Better Days Ahead for the Brown Advisory. I think Novice Chase is definitely one that I'm interested in. I think he's roughly around 14, 12 to 1. It's definitely one to keep an eye out on. Him, Majbra and K de Bourbon would look like certain contenders for me in that race at this early stage. Moving on to the race in action this Friday, we've got meetings from Catterick, Tipperary, Ascot and Chepstow. Just the one bet for Friday, it's going to come at Ascot in the 2:05. It's a 2 mile 5 furlong handicap chase. Gemirande is the one that interests me the most here. He came 5th of 16 in the Grand Annual at Cheltenham in March. That day off 134, he's now £6 lower here after a quite forgettable run at Cheltenham just a month after the Grand Annual. The Grand Annual was obviously over 2 miles, but he pretty much only runs over 2.5 miles, so he's back to his optimal trip today. However, he's not the soundest horse, clearly, only making 3 starts last season, all in March. If he lines up here though, I'd expect him to go quite well off his current mark of 128, which is only £2 above his last winning mark of 126. The layoff of 219 days doesn't concern me too much, considering the fact that Venetia Williams has won 3 of the 9 renewals of this race, all with horses coming off a layoff and starting their season, making their seasonal reappearance. So that's not an issue. He's got form on good soft, good heavy and soft ground, so the ground won't be an issue. I think he's weighted to go well. He's at the bottom of the weight, 7th of 8 in the weights. I think he could be primed to go well here. So that's at Gemirande in the 2:05 handicap chase on Friday.